Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and I too rise to make a contribution to the Gambling Regulation Amendment, Wagering and Betting Tax Bill 2021, and I'm very pleased to do so. I'm very supportive of this proposed amendment, which will make a small change to the Act, very simply to increase the tax rate from 8% to 10% for wagering and betting operators, and it's proposed that this change will take place from the 1st of July 2021. And I'm pleased to follow the member for Bentley, who made reference to Ballarat and that 1,300 jobs are linked with the racing industry in Ballarat, and it makes a contribution of $48 million to my local economy, and I'm very, very proud of that. And likewise, following you, Deputy Speaker, talking about the Greyhound adoption program at Tarrangower Prison. I had the pleasure of being at Tarrangower with the Minister for Corrections recently and spending some of the time with the prisoners who were doing the handling of the Greyhound adoption program dogs, and the joy that was bringing to those prisoners was great to see. And I agree with the member for Thomastown about the importance of animal welfare and the importance of that. So it is great. So I'd really like to thank the Treasurer and the Treasurer's Office and the Department for what's been done to bring this bill to this House, and the consultation that's occurred with Racing Victoria, Harness Racing Victoria and Greyhound Racing Victoria, and that it was so welcomed by Peter Duncan, the CEO of Greyhound Racing Victoria, the Chair. Peter Duncan is the Chair of Greyhound Racing Victoria, the Chair of Harness Racing Victoria, Dale Monteith, and the Chair of Racing Victoria, Brian Kruger. And why I'm really pleased to speak on this bill is that racing is very important to my community of Ballarat. And as the member for Wendouree, I am very proud to have the home of the Ballarat District Trotting Club in my electorate in Redan, as well as the Ballarat Greyhound Racing Club adjacent to the Trotting Club. And the Ballarat Turf Club is just out of my electorate in Miners Rest. And the Ballarat Turf Club has a very, very proud history and is also home to Melbourne Cup winning jockey Michelle Payne and her equally famous strapper brother Stevie Payne, as well as some great trainers including Archie Alexander and Matt Kamani, who are having a lot of success at the moment, which is great for Ballarat racing and the Ballarat racing community. I'd really like to take a moment to recognise the Ballarat Turf Club CEO, Belinda Glass, who took the reins of the club after the Ballarat Club in 2019 and faced the most challenging year in the job, dealing with everything that COVID threw up, and she so challenging after years of having Lachlan McKenzie as the CEO to take over and then have the year of COVID. So I really want to give a shout out to Belinda Glass and everyone who works at the Ballarat Turf Club for all they did to keep the racing industry in Ballarat clicking over last year. And I am a very proud member of the Ballarat Turf Club as well as the Ballarat District Trotting Club. And as the local member, we get invited to a lot of events, but one of the greatest nights on the calendar in Ballarat is the Ballarat Greyhound Racing Cup. And I attended this great event on Friday the 9th of April with my husband Mike, and it's one not to be missed. It's one of the funnest nights in Ballarat, and it's always great to catch up with Greyhound Racing Victoria Chair Peter Duncan and talk to her about the plans that the local club has for expansion and improving animal welfare practices and making sure that we have a really, really good and safe industry that housed in Ballarat. And I really would like to just take a moment to thank the hard-working team at Ballarat Greyhound Racing Club, including the General Manager, Rod Ward, who does such a good job and has such big plans for the venue, and also to the Ballarat Racing Club Board, the Chair, Paul Armstrong, the Vice Chair, Craig Fletcher, General Committee Member Anita Godfrey, Racing Advisor Committee Representative Sheldon Hamilton. And I'd like to also thank Greg Davies, APM, former interim Treasurer at the Ballarat Greyhound Racing Club, who's recently been appointed the Greyhounds Club Victoria Independent Chair. So congratulations to Greg. We're disappointed that you're leaving the Ballarat Greyhound Racing Club, but thrilled that you'll be making an ongoing contribution to the Greyhound Clubs Victoria. I'd also just a quick mention to the Ballarat Greyhound Racing Advisory Committee, Debbie Bewley, Peter Desmond, Daryl Leithan and Daniel Cuddy, Trent Blacker and also, as I mentioned, Sheldon Hamilton, who is on the board as well as on the Racing Advisory Committee. Another fantastic night out in Ballarat is the Pacing Cup, and we had the Pacing Cup in January this year, which was really good after a lot of concerns about COVID restrictions and whether the Pacing Cup was going to be able to go ahead, that it was able to proceed, and it was a very good night for everyone there, particularly the Punters Club. Mike and I both had tickets in the Punters Club, and we left home with a lot more in our pockets than we started with, so it's always a good night when the Punters Club is a success. So on that night, I am very pleased that Harness Racing Victoria Chair Dale Monteith and CEO Dale Brown, the two Dales of Harness Racing Victoria, came up for the Pacing Cup in Ballarat, and it's always really good to talk to them about the role that Ballarat harness racing plays in the broader Victorian context, and they do give such great support to the Ballarat Harness Racing Club. And we can't really talk about the club without acknowledging the great work of President David Young and his board, as well as Chief Executive Paul Rouse and all the staff who not only do great work on racing nights, but also it's a great place to have events. We have a lot of school balls and weddings and other functions at the Flying Horse is their reception centre. So thank you to all the very hard-working staff at the Flying Horse in Redan. And on the night of the Pacing Cup, it's always lovely to catch up with some life members and club legends, including Joe Ballinger, Dennis Foley and Paul James. With the proposed amendments that we're making to this bill, there's going to be substantial benefits to the racing industry. In fact, these changes are expected to increase the gross annual point of consumption tax payments from around $47.6 million to $83.3 million for 2021-2022. The increase to funding for the racing industry will help our racing industry increase prize money, and we know that the member for Murray Plains is very excited about that, and also opportunities to invest more in animal welfare programs, and this is most welcome news. Importantly, the additional funding will encourage ongoing investment in an industry that injects an estimated $4.3 billion annually into Victoria's economy and sustains more than 33,000 full-time equivalent jobs. And I've spoken how important racing is to the Ballarat community, but more broadly, racing is incredibly significant for regional Victoria, with more than 100 clubs which support over 9,700 full-time equivalent jobs and provide an estimated $1.15 billion in economic value annually. At this time, I would also like to acknowledge that gambling can be harmful, and I would encourage anyone struggling with it to reach out because there is help out there and services available. People can call 1-800-858-858 for support, and I would also encourage people, if they are struggling with gambling issues, to reach out to a healthcare professional, or if they feel comfortable, to a supportive family or friend. Help is available. The money that will be raised from this is going to have great community benefit, particularly for my community, and we've benefited previously from the Anzac Day Proceeds Fund over a number of years, with a very welcome $10,000 grant awarded to the Ballarat RSL sub-branch in 2020 for welfare support, and last year Ballarat Legacy received $18,000 for heating allowances for families. Ballarat, as many people know, is very cold in winter, and grants like this make a substantial difference to our war widows and veterans community. So in closing, I would like to say that I am a big supporter of the racing industry, whether it be the thoroughbreds or whether it be harness racing or whether it be greyhound racing, and I commend this bill to the House. Thank you very much.